I was born into this. I was born into this. Josh Kirby, Don McKinley, Arthur Ballard. Sam Walsh, the last of the starving bohemians. I used to see them on a day-to-day basis. I never stopped working. Frank Arbot, Leon Kossoff, Ewan Uglow sadly died. Yanko Feather, funny Liverpool character. But he'd not had any formal training. I mean, he wasn't a student at the art college, Yanko Feather. And we used to go into the crack. There was Ted Atkinson, Roy Cross, Josh Kirby, yeah. But Yanko Feather always painted, and did all sorts of jobs. Went to the playhouse, he told them he was a very good electrician, and he fused all the lights about 10 minutes before the curtain up. Then he was in the Adelphi, great big glass office in the Adelphi, checking in all the stores. I mean, the parties we had there when Yanko Feather was there was better than the big paying clients upstairs. Maurice Cockerell is now Keeper of Fine Art at the Royal Academy. He was teaching in the foundation. Maurice did extremely well. I told Maurice, get out of Liverpool. You're not going to get in Liverpool what you want, Maurice. Oh, I'm doing all right. So he went to London. Most people hit the bottom. Maurice hit the top. Adrian Henry came in the 60s and he taught at the foundation. He used to give all the students the Beano and say, copy something out of that, I'll be back in an hour. These were the days of the happenings, and the poets and all that. And after a row with Arthur Ballard, he decided to leave. He was more interested in doing his poems and his happenings and all that. George Jardine, 37 years with me, George. I miss him more and more each day. I just took him for granted. He was just there. But he was a very good chap, was George Jardine. And he had a sort of self-discipline that these days they just lack. I mean, he knew who he was, what he could do and what to leave alone. People don't know that. They don't know who they are. Know who you are, what you can do and what to leave alone. I mean, yeah, put me in any situation in art, from the very worst to the very best, and I'll tick over. But put me in the Department of Nuclear Physics, I wouldn't know anything about it. Art to me is a profession like any other profession, People say to me now, you've led the bohemian life, haven't you? I thought, well, led the bohemian life, as far as I know, anybody who sets out to lead a bohemian life lands in the gutter. I was just trying to keep going, you know what I mean? Oh yes. I never ever forget those London days. When I went to the Slade, I was very young, at the Slade, and you get all these characters, all ages, all shapes, all sizes, all nationalities, and they used to call me Young June, and they give me artist names, so-and-so's looking for a model and all that, and you cross right over London and go to these wonderful studios. Oh yes. So you meet all these people along the way. Francis Bacon, and Lucien Freud was just a teacher at the Slade. That's how I knew him. I mean, he wasn't the prolific artist he was now. I used to finish at the Royal College. Friday was the only early day, 4 o'clock. And then I used to go with very good sculptors indeed. Astrid Zadar, Ralph Brown, they became very famous, these people. And we all used to go to a little Polish cafe just by South Kensington Station. We all had lemon tea, and then I'd take the tube across to St Martin's School of Art in Charing Cross. And all the other models knew about these classes. There was a bench there, which we all used to call the beggar's bench. And we used to sit on that bench, and then 6 o'clock would arrive the people like Ruskin Spear to take a class. And when he used to spot me, he'd say, "Oh, young June, would you like to come and do the class for me?" Well, of course, it was great, 6:30 to 8:30, and I'd come out of that. And then perhaps there would be Frank Arbot waiting to take you to the cinema or have a meal or a drink. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. You know, in London schools, the poses weren't by the day, they were by the term. All those standing poses, all those big life figures of me. I just don't know how I did it. 3 weeks at the time, or sometimes a month, you know, with those poses. And on a Friday, these teachers would come in and they'd draw lots for who'd be around the model, you see, and then a list would go on the door outside. And anybody who wasn't in on that Friday afternoon and came along on a Monday had to take potluck, so they didn't always get the best sort of views. But it was 1 hour pose and then a few minutes rest. And these were the academic days. Art has changed totally and completely now. It's no longer compulsory, it's optional. I came back to Liverpool. They asked me to come back. I think about the 60s. So I missed David Hockney, which I regret to this day. I never met David Hockney or his friend Kitar. They just arrived at the Royal College and I'd come back here. But who'd arrived here was John Lennon, hadn't he, and Stuart Sutcliffe. Stuart Sutcliffe used to like a certain pose, and on a Saturday morning we used to have all the School of Architecture coming over, because I think they thought it'd be just as well if their architects had some aesthetic sort of training as well. So they used to come with Quentin Hughes, who wrote these wonderful Liverpool books, you know, Seascape and all that. And Stuart used to come with an enormous board. He was the only day student who knew I'd be there. And they used to say, could he come in? And Arthur Ballard would say, yes, if you can find a place. The rooms were packed out, those studios. And Stuart would draw, and all those drawings belong to Pauline Sutcliffe now. But they were on an exhibition at the Royal Academy. And John Lennon, I mean, he used to go in the lunch hour in the crack, and he was writing all these songs and poems and things. And I used to just have so long for my lunch hour, and where I used to go home, have the lunch and come back. But if I was walking past the crack, he'd be calling me, listen to this, I've just written that. Well, I'd listen for a bit, but I'd say, okay, John, I've got to get back into the studio now. I used to have to keep the hours of the college. It's very strict, the hours of the art college in those days. John put this pantomime on, which was so funny, and he wanted me to lend him this fancy dress, so he turned up at the house. And I said, well, I haven't got any fancy dress. And he was looking round, you see. He said, well, anything will do. So I went upstairs and I brought out these big corsets belonging to my grandmother, and an orange and black bathing suit, this type of thing when they used to use bathing machines. Oh, we thought, oh, this was fantastic. And some kind of diamante necklaces, all sorts of things. A great big hat of my grandmother. So he went off with all this stuff and he put this pantomime on, Cinderella. And he was one of the ugly sisters. And Jeff Mohammed was in it. It sorted, Mohammed, where'd you come from? Manchester. End of conversation. Jeff Mohammed. And June Harry was one of the other sisters. Very, very funny. June Harry got paralytically drunk in the middle of it and went home on the bus in a full, flowing, pink silk night dress in Catherine Street. Nearly stopped the traffic. And they had to carry on without her. John Lennon, Jeff Mohammed, and this marvellous fellow called John Chase, I think his name. John Lennon said to me, he's going to be Prince Charming. He says, be the only straight part in it. And this fellow didn't want to go in any pantomime, wasn't going in any pantomime, and he did graphic design. Very handsome looking fellow, this John Chase. And I think his mother had been on the stage. And John Lennon spotted all this. He certainly looked all right, this John Chase, but he didn't want to know. I won't be any good in the pantomime. On the opening night, John Lennon said to me, I'm going to hire a costume for him. He looked absolutely fantastic in a sort of pale green silk outfit John Lennon had got. Word perfect. All the others couldn't remember anything all they were drunk. And that was the pantomime, Cinderella. Hilariously funny. And John Lennon came back with every bit of stuff I lent him. Frank Arbot, he invited me down. He said, come down, I'll try to do a painting of you. I don't know I'm going to bring it off. It's a long shot. I take so long. And I went down, and oh, there he was with the red carpet out. You can't see Frank Arbot. I mean, it's like getting in Fort Knox trying to get in his studio. But he was there and he was ready, and I had a wonderful time. But the painting didn't come off, and we had a bit of a row about it, of which I regret. But I mean, he said, I told you. I mean, he takes about a year on a painting. I was only there about 3 days. I had to get back to the art college, because, you know, there's no messing around the art college. You had to keep those hours. People who don't mix in the art world seem, you know, think that it's very casual. He just said, it's no good. I've not brought it off, and I told you I mightn't. He was disappointed, and I had a bad reaction to it, because I thought, oh, I'm going to be up in the Tate, this picture, you know, something. Frank Arbot never changes his way of life. I said to him, must be marvellous to be a famous artist now, Frank. Famous artist, he said. It's more difficult for me to do anything I think is any good. He said, I was painting better when I was a young man, and nobody wanted to know. So to keep right up there is not easy. It's like anybody, a star. What happens, a star, he's on the stage or something. He's only as good as the next production, isn't he? You know, the big time is the big time. And once you taste the big time, it's very difficult to come down to anything else. I had it in London. I could go into London now. I could go in next week, and I'd be welcomed with open arms in those Mayfair galleries, in the Marlborough, everywhere. If your face fits. I've been down there, and wonderful, wonderful times. I can still have them. One gets what one deserves out of this life. I really feel that. And you're only going to get out of it what you put in. Anything else is an added bonus.